Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be attempting to do a review plus a discussion of Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I say attempt because I tried to do this before and I could not get my thoughts together. I've said this in previous videos, which is why I don't do a lot of review videos, is because I suck at getting my thoughts out when it's more than talking about it for a few minutes in a wrap up. So I'm hoping that I can get my thoughts together because I really want to kind of open a discussion about this, especially since I think I might have seen one or two other people that have read this and talked about it. So before I get into the actual discussion, let me tell you what this book is about if you haven't heard of it or haven't picked it up or read it or anything. But this book follows this girl named Claudia. I believe she is about 13 or 14. This book starts off where she is going into her 8th grade year. So, last year, at least in the U.S. school system, she is going into her last year before moving on to high school. And she has this best friend named Monday. So at the beginning of the story, like I was saying, we're following Claudia and she is coming home from her summer vacation trip. Every summer, her mother sends her off to her grandmother who lives in Georgia, I believe. And she pretty much spends the majority, if not the entire summer. And when she gets back, I think she has like a day, or that night she gets back, the next day she's going off to school. So she gets home and, like I said, she has this best friend named Monday. And they have made this promise to keep in touch by sending letters to each other all summer because she said her grandmother doesn't allow her to be on the phone, or she really can't use the phone, something where she really can't talk on the phone. So her and Monday promised to send letters back and forth, that they saved up money to get the stamps and, the necessary things to be able to send these letters back and forth. But she has not heard from her the entire summer. So as soon as she gets back in, she asks her mom, like, have you heard from Monday? I haven't heard from her. She hasn't sent me any letters. I don't know what's going on. And her mom's like, well, maybe something happened. She's probably fine. So she gets home. She tries to call Monday. Monday's phone is disconnected. And really her mom's like, something probably just happened. You'll see her at school tomorrow. So Claudia goes to school the next day and Monday never shows up. And, one day turns into a couple days, and it turns into an entire week, a few months. And the next thing we know, it's been a year. Monday still has not shown up at school. And this causes a lot of issues. So pretty much this book is centered around a teenage girl, like really almost like preteen girl who goes missing. And a big deal about this book, which is, I heard the author mention this, or I read it somewhere, that the author wanted this book to focus on black girls going missing and how it does not really get as much coverage, say, as if a white girl went missing or something like that. Because, if a white girl went missing, it's all over the news. Everybody's out looking for this girl and all of these things. But if a black girl goes missing, it's not always the same case. And this book pretty much follows that. So this book is taking place in dual perspectives, and it pretty much breaks it down to the before and the after. So there's this big event. We don't really know what's going on. You might be able to guess it, you might not. I kind of had a feeling of what happened, but my idea wasn't as extreme as what it ended up being, and that's probably giving a little too much away. So I'm not going to talk too much about that until I get into the discussion part of this. In the before, we get to see what was going on in Monday and Claudia's life and their relationship and all of these things. Pretty much, I'm guessing before Monday went missing, this whole event of Monday's disappearance happened, and then the after, we get the effects of the effects of her disappearance, and I guess finding out what happened to her and all of these things. We kind of get to see the after effects in Claudia's life, mainly because of that, because we're centered around Claudia. So I'm kind of gonna give my brief opinions about this before I go into the discussion, just in case you haven't read it, because I definitely think this is a book that everyone should go read before hearing spoilers, because I think it will have so much more of an impact if you don't know, you don't go into it knowing what's going to happen. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I will get into why I took away that 0.5 once I go into my discussion, because I don't want to, like, that's one of the twists of the story, so I don't really want to talk about that here. I thought this dealt with such an important topic. It's really focusing on the importance of Black lives of all different ages, and it deals with the topic of, like, the inactions of adults in certain situations, and how if something could have been done, if some actions had been taken earlier on, how things might have been different. But because people were so caught up in their own lives, or they didn't really want to really question anything, or they took answers at face value, how so far off things went because of those actions. And it was so emotional, and I was really angry and frustrated with a lot of the different characters that appeared in this book, because so many things could have been done to figure out what was going on. And it was so I'm gonna get into that in my discussion part of it. Just know that I was really frustrated and angry with a bunch of people in this book because of things that weren't done that should have been done. But yeah, like I said, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think this is a book that everyone should read. It takes a different approach on the importance of Black lives, like I said, and I think this is a book that everyone can get something out of. It's definitely a book that you're not necessarily going to be comfortable while reading, so keep in mind that. I think I pretty much have talked about all that I can talk about. That's not spoilers, so if you guys do not want to be spoiled, please leave and come back once you have read this, because I want to get into all the detail. Like I said before, we are dealing with the disappearance of Claudia, and I have mentioned that this book goes into the before and after. So a lot of the before, like I mentioned in the non-spoiler part, is beginning to see the different aspects of Claudia's life, but not only Claudia's life, you also get to see part of Monday's life and things that she might possibly be going through. It was weird to read because obviously, being my age and knowing a lot of these things, I was able to pick up on signs, and I believe Claudia also picked up on some of these signs, but she didn't necessarily question it too much, because at her age, like, she doesn't really think that that's a problem. So because this is spoilers, I'm just going to get into it. So we get to see that Monday is clearly being abused. We don't know really what's going on, because we're reading this story through Claudia's lens. So, Monday is over at her house a lot, and one of the times, it actually happened a few times, but one of the times we get this moment where Claudia sees these bruises on Monday, and she asks her about them, and she told her she fell out of bed, but it was really bad bruise, and Claudia questioned it, but at the same time she was like, well, if anything was wrong, Monday would let me know. She wouldn't lie to me. So she didn't bring it up to anybody, and because of this, I feel like not as many people knew, which kind of leads into another thing. But I feel like because Claudia didn't mention it to anyone else, no one really, I don't know how to explain it, no one else really talked about it. It was always kind of this secret thing. As we learn more and more about Monday's background, we learn that actually quite a few people knew about the abuse in her home, because she was constantly going to the nurse's office and stuff like that for all these bruises and all these injuries and stuff like that. So we knew about these, or these adults knew about these things, and it even got to the point where the family was taken out of their home by, like, Child Protective Services, and their mother had to go through some class, but she ended up getting the kids back. So we know, like I said, that she's getting abused. Claudia has a hint, or she thinks that something's not right, but she doesn't really question it too much. And we have these adults at school who know what's going on with her. But I guess, I don't know if nothing, they couldn't really do too much, but it seemed just like nothing was really done on their part when they knew that it was happening. They were kind of just taking care of Monday as she came to school with these injuries. And then we also got to see that there was something, there were bigger moments going on, because in these before moments, we would see Monday would come to school after a weekend and she wasn't speaking, and she looked like she hadn't combed her hair one time, and that was one of Monday's really big things. Like, she was always doing her siblings' hair, and she was always doing her own hair and stuff like that. So she said she came to school, her hair was looking crazy, she smelled really bad. She looked at her shirt, she had like a ring of dirt on the back of her shirt, and she wasn't speaking. She was kind of just walking around, not really paying attention, not really there. She was kind of just off somewhere else while she was physically there. So we know that something happened, especially over the weekend. Something really bad happened, but there really wasn't anything done by the adults in the school, and it just really aggravated me so bad, because clearly there was something going on. It just seemed like the adults in the story were really inactive. Like, they just weren't doing anything. And then when Monday stopped showing up for school and Claudia kept trying to bring it up to people at school, she brought it up to multiple adults throughout the story, but the main people she kept going to and asking questions were the people in charge of the school. She was like, have you heard from Monday? I haven't heard from her. She hasn't been to school. What's going on? And at first, all the people she kept asking, they was like, well, I don't know. She hasn't shown up, so maybe her mother did this, or maybe her mother did that. And I'm just like, but these people know that she was being abused. So if they knew this, why would they not question this? And then all of a sudden, at some point, like, she asked one of the teachers, and the teacher brought it to one of the administrators, and they was like, okay, yeah, we'll try to call. And then the next time they went, they was like, oh, well, there was the number was disconnected, and we didn't have any other contact information. So they didn't do anything past that. And then it got to the point where like, the teacher asked again, still no word. Then all of a sudden, Monday was like being homeschooled or something, but then she had talked to Claudia had talked to Monday's older sister, and she said that she had went with her aunt, and then the mom told her that Monday went to live with her dad. It was just a lot going on, and there was never a straight answer, and no one really thought anything about it. And it was just so frustrating. And then it was like even a point where Monday went to the cops, and she was like, I think, she's like, my friend hasn't shown up. I don't know where she is. And the cop asked her, was her friend missing? And, she was like, I don't think she's missing, but I have not seen her for a while now. And the cop basically shames her. It's like, you're coming in here trying to say that your friend, you think your friend is missing, but you don't know. And he was like, you see this wall of girls, all of these girls are missing, and you coming in here saying that you think your friend might be missing is wasting time to look for these girls that are missing too. And he was like, well, only a parent can file a missing persons report. And it was just like, it was so aggravating, because no one was trying to help. Like, no one really questioned anything about this whole situation. Like, she brought it up to her mom, and her mom kept saying, every single adult she went to was like, well, she should be okay, she's fine, I'm sure she's okay. And it was to the point where she was gone, I think, like a year or so before anyone really thought anything of it. It just took way too long. And it was like, even her father was like, well, maybe Monday doesn't want to be friends with her anymore. And I was just like, wait. And like, this girl has been at your house every day for the past how many years, and now all of a sudden she just doesn't want to be friends with her? Like, that that didn't make any sense. And it just made me so angry because it was like every single adult, and I know this is a fiction book, but I'm sure situations are probably similar to this in these type of situations. But almost every single adult, it was one adult, one teacher who really tried to see what was going on. I'm gonna put the book down while I'm talking about it because I was just holding it up for like almost 20 minutes straight. Something crazy, something iffy was going on with her brother as well, because a year or so before Monday went missing, her brother went missing as well. And whenever Claudia would try to ask about him, Monday would get really upset and like tell her just to forget about it. I can't remember the reason she gave her, but she was, she got mad at her anytime she asked about him. So eventually, Claudia just stopped asking because she didn't want to upset Monday. She really didn't understand what was going on. And so it's like as we're piecing the story, as the story is being pieced together, we're learning that some things just aren't adding up in Monday's family, especially knowing all of these things about the abuse and, not really knowing what exactly is going on, but there's like severe abuse going on in her household and all of these things. And then on the other hand, we have Claudia, who is dealing with, I believe she has like a learning I believe she's dyslexic. I'm pretty sure that's what was going on with her. So she had this double fear when Monday went missing, because not only was she worried about her friend actually being gone, but Monday was pretty much handling all of her work. So, or at least her homework. So all the homework she had and projects she did outside of school, Monday was pretty much doing it all for her. And she was worried about people finding out about this. And it was just, it was a lot. There was so many different things going on. And I don't even know how to begin to wrap my thoughts around, or at least articulating my thoughts about all of the different things that was happening in this. So we get to the point where we find out what happened to Monday, and in turn we also find out what happened to Monday's younger brother. So I'm gonna get into what happened to them and then get into like something that was kind of revealed after that, which was the twist that I just wasn't really happy with. Over the summer before 8th grade, I don't remember all the details, but Monday ended up having a fight with her mom because I think she was saying that she was leaving, she wasn't going to stay there anymore. And basically Monday's mom ends up beating her until she's dead, pretty much. If you have read it, hopefully you weren't still watching this at this point if you hadn't read it. So if you've read it, but her mom ends up beating her until she's dead after this argument that they have. And I don't remember if she tells her oldest daughter or if her daughter just does it herself, but she ends up putting Monday in this freezer that they have in their house. And it also turns out that, I don't remember the exact timeline, but before she did the same thing to her son. I believe something was also wrong with him. They didn't really say, but he was really hyper and he had a really hard time staying still. And then the mom said that he was touching on one of his sisters or something like that. So she ended up beating him till he was dead as well, and told her oldest daughter, or maybe Monday and her older sister, to put him in the freezer. So eventually they find both Monday and her younger brother, I can't remember his name at the moment, in this freezer, and they had been there for a while. We find out that all of these events and all of her figuring everything out that happened 2 years ago. And she has actually, I think this is the second or third time that she has relapsed into trying to figure out what happened to Monday. First thinking Monday went missing and trying to figure out what happened to her. So at the start of the story, we believe she's, 13 or 14. Turns out that she's actually 16, and she has done this several times where she's trying to figure out what happened to Monday and all these things after they have already figured out. So You know, I guess we get what happened in a somewhat of an order, but I didn't like the fact that we get this twist that she was having a really bad time coping, and she kind of just blocked out what happened, and it all started all over again. So it was weird because it made me question some of the timeline of things. It just kind of really confused me, that part of it. And I think that the story would have still been really good and really thought-provoking without that twist, because I didn't like it. I didn't like that twist, because I was just like, why do we need that? And that's why I took off that 0.5 stars, because it made no sense. So this whole time we're thinking, I think at this point Monday was starting to hang out with, she thought it was kids older than her, but I believe that they were actually her age. So when she was going out and doing this stuff, that I'm like, okay, well, she's only like 14 years old. She's kind of young to be doing that. She's like, I mean, she's still young to be doing some of these things, but it's like she's 16 and she's actually with people her own age. But I don't know how to explain. I didn't like the twist. I'm just going to keep it at that. But besides that, this book, like I said, was really thought-provoking. It had me really emotional. I did end up crying through the last part of this book. So I ended up picking up the audiobook for this. And I think I was listening to the audiobook while following along in this. And I can't remember how much of it was, but I was sitting at work and I was listening to it, and I was like, I couldn't even read the pages because I was like bawling at work. And I was just like, oh my God, because it was just so much going on. And I was just so, I can't, this is why I didn't post this before, as you can see, because I'm like, I can't get the words out. It was just like, it was so much going, it was like, it's so much happening. And like I said, so many people actually knew about Monday's life. It's just heartbreaking. I like, every time I think about this, I just feel so drained, because I just think of like, so much could have been done to change the outcome of the situation. I thought this book was absolutely amazing. Besides the twist, I will forever say the twist was just not for me. But yeah, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely one of my favorite books of this year. I will be recommending this to anybody who's looking for a hard-hitting contemporary, because this is definitely one of those. I think that's all I have for now. If you guys have read this, which hopefully you have, like I said, if you're still watching this at this point, leave me comments down in the comment section and discuss with me. I just really want to talk about this, because like I said, I have not really seen anyone talk about this at all. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.